In this video, we're going to develop financial scenarios with Scenario Manager. Many financial analyses explore the impact of several input values on several different results. Because data tables are limited to 2 input cells, you must create a scenario to perform a what-if analysis with more than 2 input cells. A scenario is the defined set of values for different cells grouped under a common name. Scenarios are limited to a maximum of 32 changing cells, so there is a limitation. So in Excel, we're going to create 2 scenarios for the data in the wall units worksheet based on the data shown in Table 1 of your instructions. Okay, so we're in wall units right now. And we're going to create it by going to Data. Okay, make sure that you click out of the actual chart that you created before, because if you don't, it'll be grayed out, and all it is because it's selected. So make sure to click off of it, click Data, What If Analysis, Scenario Manager. Alright, so in Scenario Manager, we're going to add 2 scenarios. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit Add. Okay, the name of this one, okay, is going to be, let's see, in scenario 1 is going to be standard materials. So standard materials. Okay, in the changing cells for standard materials, C12. So you can either click on it or you can type it in. So C12 and C15. Okay, so C12 are variable cost per unit and our total fixed cost. Alright, once you have that, you're going to click OK. And then you have to put your inputs. So in this case, we're going to put in the values for each of the changing cells, and you can see the scenario is going to be 33.75 for the wall unit variable cost, and it's going to be 175,000 for the wall unit's fixed cost. Okay, once you have those in, okay, you can add more if you have them, but we only have 2 in this particular scenario. So I'm going to click OK, and you can see that you have standard materials added. You're going to do the same thing for the green materials. So you're going to add, call it green materials. Same changing cells. Click OK. And again, you're going to put in the wall unit variable cost, which in this case now is 42.50. So 42.50. So $42.50. And then we're going to do 225,000. And click OK. So you've created 2 scenarios. Alright, and so we're going to go ahead then, and you'll see your standard. You can hit close, and if you want to go back and forth to see what difference it makes with the 2 different scenarios, you can. But right now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to click close. In this video, we're going to make a scatter chart with straight lines. So first we're going to select our data, E6 through J14. Then we're going to go to Insert. I'm going to bring up all charts. I'm going to Scatter, Straight Lines, and I'm going to click OK. Alright, you're going to position it so that the left corner is in cell E15, and the right one is in J28. So J28. All right, then you're going to remove the title. You're going to reposition the chart legend to the right of the chart. Okay, so again, we can look at some of our elements here. So we have our legend, and we're going to put it to the right of the chart. We're going to add a title net income to the vertical axis. Okay, so we're going to put in net and so net income. And on our horizontal axis, we are going to put in units sold. Okay, and then we're going to do our minimum bounds and our maximum bounds for the vertical axis. So I'm going to format the axis so that I can do my minimum, which is going to be set to 150,000. And my maximum is going to be 25,000. Okay. And I'm going to have a currency with 0 decimals. Okay, so we got that. Alright, and then we'll check it, make sure. Okay, that looks okay. Then we're going to do our horizontal axis. Okay, so our horizontal. Same thing, put a minimum and maximum. And our minimum is going to be 3,000. And our maximum is going to be 7,500. Alright, and then we're going to do change the names of our series. So in the scatter and straight line chart, we're going to actually change the series names here. Chart with straight lines. Okay, so to do that, we need to be on the chart, go up to Design, select the data, go to Edit, and the first one we're going to set the series name to cell F5 and click OK. And you can see that way you can change each one of the series. And this one will set to G5. And then series 3 is H5. Four is I5. Okay. So number 4 is going to be set to I5. Whoops. Right there. I5. And then series 5 is going to be J5. And that would be the last one. Solver finds the numeric solution to a problem involving several input values. For example, Solver can be used to find the combination of input values that maximizes profits. It can also be used to find a set of input values that minimizes costs. Or it can act like GoalSeek and find input values required to match a given result. The first thing that you have to do if you want to use Solver is you may have to activate it on your machine. So to do that, first thing you would do is check to see if you have it. Under Data, you'll see I have Solver already. If you do not have it, what you would need to do is go to File, Options, go down to Add-ins, and then to the bottom go to Go. You need to check the box that says Solver Add-in and then click OK. Once you do that, then you will be able to see Solver under your Data tab over on the right hand side. Alright, so with Solver we're going to look for the optimal solution to a problem. So in this one we're going to run Solver to minimize the value in cell F11, total cost, okay, on the custom clock suppliers worksheet. So custom clock suppliers worksheet, and we're going to run Solver to minimize the value in cell F11. Okay, so we're going to minimize it from F11. Okay, so that would be the total cost. Right, our changing cells will be E5 through C5 through E5. So let's go to Data. We're going to go ahead and open up Solver. Okay, we know our objective is to minimize the value in cell F11. So make sure that you are in Set Objective, and you're going to click on F11. Okay, so our objective there is to minimize the value in cell F11, which is total cost. We're going to adjust the number of units. Okay, so that becomes our changing cells, because that's where we're adjusting the number of units. So that's cells C5 through E5. So C5 through E5. Alright, now that we have our objective, we know we're minimizing, so we need to make sure the minimize is checked here, the little option box. We're changing the units produced, C5 through E5, and now we're going to put in our constraints. Okay, so our constraints are going to be added, and we're going to add F5 has to be equal to 5,500. So we're going to look at F5, and we're going to make it here. So if we drop this little box down, we find equal, and it's 5,500. Okay, we're going to add another constraint because we have a few of them to be able to put on there. All right, we're going to add a constraint for F11. So we're going to add, and that's going to be F11. And our constraint for F11 is that it's going to be less than or equal to, so less than or equal to, which is what it defaulted to, 560,000. Adding another one, we're going to add on those changing cells that we did before, we're going to put a constraint. So a constraint on the units produced, which is C5 through E5. And we're going to make that less than or equal to 3,500. And we have another one. The constraint is that it must be an integer. You have to have a whole number. So we need to do again C5 through E5. And this time we drop the box down, and there's one called INT, that's for integer. You click on that and it will put the words integer in the box for you. Now we have our constraints. Constraints are really important, and they're one of the hardest things that you need to think about when you run Solver, because to optimize a problem, you have to look at what is your goal, what is your objective, okay, what you're changing, but then you need to know what kind of constraints you have, because normally there's always constraints. Think about money. How many people, like if you have a business, do you have unlimited money? No. If you have a certain amount of money that you can spend, that's a constraint. Okay? If you have to pay a certain amount of money for something, that's a constraint. So we always have constraints on us. And so you have to account for those if you want to do an optimization problem and be able to get the best results. All right, so we have our constraints in. Once you have those in, click OK. And you'll be able to see your constraints, double check them, and try to make sure that you've got the right amount in there before you run Solver. All right, so we're going to run Solver now. We're happy with that. We're going to leave it on GRG, nonlinear solving method. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and run Solver by clicking down here where it says Solve. Okay, you'll get a dialog box then that says Solver found a solution. That's good. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. Okay, and so we have that dialog box. And once we've done that, then we can go ahead and return to the dialog box there. So we're going to go ahead. We'll click on OK and then return to the Solver dialog box. Now we're going to save our model. Okay, so the next thing is save the model to the range B15 through B22, and that's going to save our parameters. Okay, you want to make sure that you have the amount that you want, which is this 515, okay, in there on your set objective. Go to your load save, select where you want it to go, B15 through B22, and then click on save. And that will save the parameters that way. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the Solver dialog box. The next thing that you're going to do is go to the All Products worksheet. And on the All Products worksheet, you're going to open up Scenario Manager, and you're going to create a scenario summary report. All right, so we've got all products, data, what if analysis. Under the what if analysis, we're going to go ahead and create a scenario manager summary. So we're going to go to summary. Okay, and then make sure that you've got C18 through E18, which I do by default. And then go ahead and you've got the choice would be scenario summary here. Click OK. This is going to give us our scenario summary. Okay, this report will summarize the impact of the following three scenarios: status quo, outsourcing manufacturing, and raise prices 5%. Then we're going to go back to the All Products worksheet again, and this time we're going to do a scenario pivot table report. So it's kind of the same process. We're going to go to Data, What If, Scenario Manager, Summary. This time we're going to pick the scenario pivot table report. Again, make sure that our cells are right. They are. Click OK. And now you have a scenario pivot table report. Okay, and then you're going to do a little bit of formatting of this report. And you're going to do some things like remove the filter from the pivot table. So if you went over here, you'll notice you can remove fields just like you've done with other pivot tables. Okay, you can change the number format. So, for example, you can drop the box down, go to value field settings, number format, and then you can change it to currency with 2 decimal places. And we have currency with 2 decimal places. Okay. And you would do each one of the 3 that it tells you to. So profit per unit sold, profit per unit sold, wall units, the desktop, and the custom. Then in cell A1, you're going to enter a value, all product scenario pivot table, and you're going to format that cell with the title cell style. So you're going to put in a name in A1, and you're going to format that cell with title cell style. Okay, so you're going to write in the words, and then you're going to do your cell styles, the cell styles, and you're going to pick the title cell style. So you go down and you would pick the title cell style. Okay, so you'd have your all products. Let's see, all products scenario pivot table. Scenario. Okay, so you have your title, and then you can compare it to the final figures that's in the instructions that way.